Hi everyone. Oh, I'm not sure if this is recording or not. Let me see. Hello? Okay, well, I'm gonna go ahead and start. Hi everyone, welcome to my video. My name is Monica Gonzalez. Well, my full name is Monica Milagros Gonzalez. And so I'm just gonna first do a little bit of a geographical and biographical history about me. So I was born and raised here in Miami, Florida, and Milagros actually means miracles in Spanish. And the reason why I got that middle name is because I was born prematurely at 23 weeks, which is literally about 5 months. I was born about 5 months premature, and I was essentially in the incubator for like an additional 4 months up until, yeah, because it's like I had to basically be in this incubator up until I made the 9 month um, mark, and then I can go home. So thankfully, I did not grow up with any severe health complications at all or chronic health conditions. But I would say that um, I did get diagnosed with hearing loss when I was 4 years old. And, nobody in my family has hearing loss, so it's not genetic. But it was, my parents and the doctors do think that it was, that my hearing loss was caused by a medical, mm, just like a medical issue. So essentially, one of the NICU nurses who was looking after me at that point in time, she there was like there was a trial for a new drug happening. Essentially what happened was that when I was born, I had a bacterial infection that could have affected my blood, and that was going to make me blind and completely deaf from the time of birth. And so there was a trial for this new medication for premature babies. And I can't tell you the name of the medication, I don't remember, but long story short, the NICU nurse who was looking after me actually prescribed, not that she prescribed, well, yeah, she gave me a higher dosage than what was recommended for premature babies. And so um my parents think that, and the doctors think that the higher dose of medication had basically saved me from, being born completely blind and deaf, but it did still cause hearing loss. Now, my hearing loss is mild to moderate, so and it's not so much the volume of sound, it's more of the frequency of sound that that I tend to struggle with. So, for example, the way I can explain the frequency of sounds is essentially like the sound patterns of certain words or letters. So, for example, I often would confuse the B and the P, like the B and the P sounds, or the T and the S sounds, like T, S, like even though they're very different consonants or sounds, when I'm in conversations with people, even with my hearing aids on, I do have a tendency to sometimes misunderstand people. So at that point, I would usually just ask someone to repeat themselves. And it can be somewhat of a challenge sometimes because, specifically when I'm in big group settings, but because we're in a small class, I don't think I'll have an issue with anyone speaking. I guess one thing that I would say is that when you're speaking to me, you just make sure that you're looking directly at me. And you don't have to like slow down your speech or anything. You can speak normally how you speak. Um, but yeah, that's just something to be aware of. And also too, like if I'm not understanding you or hearing you clearly, I would let you know. So don't worry about that. But yeah, I think because it's a small class, I'm not gonna have any big challenges to kind of like overcome. But yeah, I'm really looking forward to this class. So, yeah, a little bit more about me. I was born and raised here in Miami, Florida. Both of my parents are from Venezuela, and I grew up speaking Spanglish. So, of course, you know, and it's funny because even though both of my parents are from Venezuela, my Spanish sounds more like Cuban Spanish than Venezuelan Spanish. And it's not that I don't have the Venezuelan accent because I do. It just mainly comes out when I'm with my parents or when I'm with other Venezuelans. But generally speaking, when I'm speaking Spanish with my friends or Spanglish, like it comes out with the Miami Cuban accent. So there's that. Um, but yeah, I'm really looking forward to also learning about you guys as well. And so, before I go into the questions, I want to kind of like explain the pictures. So the first picture, the picture in the back, the selfie, this pic, you can't really see the full background, just that little house and like some Spanish moss hanging from the top of the tree. But this picture was taken earlier this year at this place called Camp Oasis. And Camp Oasis is essentially a Christian youth camp that branches hosts every year for their students. A lot of the students, well, pretty much all the students that attend branches come from uh, low income, like a lower socioeconomic upbringing. So, and it goes from kindergarten all the way through high school. And so this picture was just taken one morning early while the sun was out, and I was feeling myself. So, I had to take a cute picture. And yeah, that whole experience was fun because it was about 4 days and 3 nights, specifically during spring break. So just kind of go out in nature for the kids to experience and encounter God in a very different setting. We do different activities with the kids throughout the day, playing outside, going canoeing, have a moment to kind of like just chapel where we can just get together and worship. So, yeah, it really is a very great experience. And even for me, that, I grew up Catholic, but I never really like, I would go to church here and there, but I wouldn't say that I grew up religious at all. So I never really had experiences like this that these kids get to experience where like they go away to a camp for the week and just, be out in nature. Like I think that's such a great experience. And also too for me that I can kind of just get away from just the everyday chaos. So even for me, that was a great experience too. And then yeah, and then in the second picture in the bottom, this was also taken earlier this year. This was last semester in 2 semesters ago, actually, in the springtime with my classmates. And this was for my environmental science class. And that class was so much fun. I mean, it was a lot of work because we had to write a lot of papers. And I had the regular environmental well, sorry, not environmental science, like the ecology of South Florida. That's what the class was called. And so in this ecology of South Florida class, there was also a lab. And in that lab was when I got to experience these different field trips. And in this specific field trip, we got to hike, or I guess, yeah, like hike, do like a walking trail hike to this thing called an alligator hole, which is where me and these girls are literally like shoulders deep, and like this, the water was so cold, and this was probably like, yeah, this was actually this was on the day of my birthday, February 17th. So that was such a blast. That was by far the most fun field trip I ever did ever. Like it was so much fun. And so yeah, I feel like this picture also represents me because I'm such an adventurous person and I love trying new things. And so um I heard that in this class, the Ecology of South Florida, you get to go and experience different nature trails in the Everglades. So I figured, you know what, I'm gonna do that class. It was really, it was a very tedious class because it required a lot of papers, but it was so much fun, so worth it. I'm glad that I took that class. And yeah, so yeah, I'm very much, I would say my wide range of experiences is something that I can definitely bring in the classroom. And so for me, the subject area that I'm most interested in teaching is English and reading. And I think the grade level that I'm most passionate, that I think I am most passionate about teaching is anywhere between fourth grade through eighth grade. Um, and I know that seems like such a wide gap, but I think the thing that gets me excited about working with this age group and with this demographic in particular is that students are generally more cognizant and definitely way more expressive and when sharing their ideas. And also too, just from a personal experience, for me, I actually didn't know how to read properly until I was 12 years old in sixth grade. And so after that, I literally became a bookworm. I was reading every single day, reading different books. I started off reading the Goosebumps series and the Babysitter's Club. And then, I eventually graduated to, Harry Potter and, other types of books and, sci-fi books and murder mysteries. Like I would say romance novels, obviously. So, yeah, I think, but if you were to ask me my favorite book of all time, it's The Alchemist by Paulo Coelho. Like, The Alchemist is literally, it's just so, it's the most beautiful book in the world. If you have not read it, I highly recommend it. Like, that's all I'm gonna say. It's the best book in the world. It's such a great book. So much adventure and loss and heartache and just all the things. Like it's such a great, like and it's easy to read, which is perfect. It's such a good book. Um, but anyway, back into this video. Um, some of the talent, skills, and personal characteristics that I think I already have and that I can bring into the classroom. Well, for one of my talents is creative writing. I love creative writing. Um, I used to live in Chicago, so I took screenwriting classes, poetry classes, live storytelling classes. And so, I mean, even though I'm I mean, I took live storytelling classes as a way to kind of combat my fear of public speaking. Um, I don't know if I fully succeeded from that because my fear of public speaking is still extremely high. Like it's terrible. Um, but yeah, and then, but you know, that's still something that I really want to overcome. And so, as another skill that I think I have is the art of communication. Now, I don't know how good I'm doing right now, but I would say that in a more one-on-one setting or like a small group setting, I would say that's when I'm the best at communicating, especially with the students. And some of the personal characteristics that I think I have that I just know is a gift that I can bring to the classroom is my warmth and my ability to be the world's best hype man. Like I it's from a young age, I've always been the type of person to be an encourager and, you know, being someone, I think to be a successful educator and a successful teacher in general, giving words of encouragement to your students in order to achieve all that they can is something that is so needed in the classroom, especially with today's generation of kids in school, because obviously the kids in school today are very different from when I was in school. The way school is taught is also very somewhat, I would say it's somewhat different from how I was taught. And so, but still, regardless of how things change in the classroom and how technology advances into the future, the gift of being able to encourage students is so powerful and so necessary in today's world. And the kids nowadays, like they need it. I mean, people in general, parents need to be encouraged. Students need to be encouraged. You know, and also the ability to encourage your coworkers and future peers that you're going to be working alongside. It's necessary, you know. And so yeah, that's another thing that I'm really passionate about, being able to encourage others to do better and be better. And lastly, something that what talent, skills, and personal characteristics do you need to develop? Whew, something I definitely need that I want to develop and need to develop is crafting my teacher voice. Because even at work now, I feel like I still struggle with not, well, yeah, not delegating per se, but just learning how to captivate students' attention. And I think a lot of that also stems because I still struggle. I think the reason why I struggle with it is because I'm still very much in my head when it comes to public speaking, even though I'm speaking to mainly kids. Um, I think the reason why I also get kind of hung up on it is because I see other adults that are in the room that are kind of watching me. Um, and so just the fact that there's other people watching me just kind of terrifies me. Not that it terrifies me, but it yeah, I guess it makes me self-conscious. And like it's public speaking is such a fear that I've had. And I need to learn to get that out of my vocabulary, saying that I'm scared of it because like yeah, I just know I need to get better at public speaking and crafting my teacher voice. And yeah, like I'm also really looking forward to learning from everyone else in the class And yeah, I'm just overall looking forward to a great semester. So um, yeah, thank you so much for listening all the way through this end, and I look forward to hearing more from you guys. Bye, guys. Good night.